These are the top 10 variety coins from the 1940s. Let's look at our first Lincoln cent for this list, and quite fittingly, it is a variety from the single-year type coin that is the steel penny, only minted in 1943. Or at least on purpose, with this coin hailing from the Denver Mint. This is a fantastic repunched mint mark variety where the initial D is still seen clearly towards the southwest of the primary D mint mark, where they almost look like two little links in a chain. This example was graded by PCGS as MS67, and in 2024 it was sold for $5,760. 1945 and the Philadelphia Mint is our next stop on this journey, to find the Jefferson nickel known as the doubled Monticello variety. On this coin, the reverse is strongly doubled, with the spread increasing from left to right. The letters of Monticello are particularly boldly doubled towards the right side of the coin, so that's the E, the double L, and the lost O, with similar doubling then also seen on the letters of cents. This coin was graded as MS66 plus full steps by PCGS, and in 2022 it was sold at auction for the sum of $13,567. From there, we look at another $quarter coin. This is yet another variety from 1943, and I'm going to cheat just a little and group together a few different varieties here, as the 1943 Philadelphia Mint has a number of double-die obverse coins to look for in the $quarter. Now, most of these will display doubling to at least some degree on their date, as well as the obverse letterings of "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." This example is of the FS103 variety and was sold at auction in 2018 for $17,400. This is a variety that remains scarce despite being fairly well known, the 1943 doubled obverse Washington $quarter. This coin displays extremely strong doubling on most of the obverse of the coin. It remains especially noticeable on the letters of "In God We Trust," where the letters are doubled strongly towards the southeast. The letters of "Trust" in particular display the doubling in a pleasing manner. There is also additional doubling on the date and the letters of "Liberty." Here we see an example graded by PCGS as MS67 that was sold at auction in 2021 for $18,800. In 1939, the Mint decided to rework the reverse design of the Jefferson nickel ever so slightly. The main characteristic of this new design was a clearer definition of the steps on the Monticello building. The old style is now taken as the reverse of 1938, and the new coin the reverse of 1940. However, a small number of proof nickels in 1940 were still minted with the older reverse of 1938. These coins are quite rare and valuable today. This one was graded by PCGS as proof 68, and in 2020 it was sold for $26,400. One of the, I'd say, better penny varieties that you can look for from the 1940s is this over mint mark variety to be discovered on the 1944 D Lincoln cent. Here, an S mint mark was originally struck, and then a D mint mark was then later punched in over top of the S, albeit slightly towards the south of the original position, leaving one of the strongest repunched mint marks for the time, with the top of the S still seen towards the north. This example was sold in 2024, graded by PCGS as MS67 plus red for $29,250. Most repunched mint marks are fairly straightforward, but every now and then you come across a variety that just clearly has a story to tell. In this case, the 1942 D over horizontal D Jefferson nickel. The first punching of this mint mark was done horizontally. In other words, the D was struck in on its side. Then the final D had to be struck in over that one to have it standing upright. There is a clear remnant of the horizontal D towards the left of the mint mark. The example here was graded by PCGS as MS64 with full steps and sold at auction in 2006 for $32,200. But more recently, an MS66 example was also sold at auction for $7,800. The last of the spectacular mint mark varieties that featured on this list is now on display. This is the 1949 D over S mint mark variety that can be found on the 1949 D Jefferson nickel. On this coin, there is a clear remnant of the initial under mint mark seen towards the top serif of the D, that you can clearly see was once the top rounding of that original S mint mark. This stellar example of the coin was graded by PCGS with a phenomenal grade of MS67 with full steps, and in 2014, it was sold for $32,900. One of the best-known varieties for the 1940s is this famous overdate Mercury dime. It is one of the best examples of this kind of variety out there, as the overdate is so incredibly easy to spot. Examining the date, it becomes immediately apparent that there is a numeral 1 just below the overdate number 2. This actually happened during the hubbing stage and not, as people may earlier have believed, during minting itself. This example was graded by PCGS as MS66 with a full bands designation, and at auction in 2018, it was sold for $180,000. After the mint struck steel pennies in 1943, they once again returned exclusively to the usual copper coins, again in 1944. Only, as these things tend to go, a few transitional errors managed to creep in, despite the mint's efforts to the contrary. A number of coins were, again, struck from the now older steel planchets intended only for 1943. This Denver mint example was sold in 2007, graded by NGC as MS63 for $115,000. The Philadelphia Mint too saw some of these coins slipping by, with an estimated dozen or so surviving today. This example attained a grade of MS64 from PCGS and saw a closing price at auction of $180,000 in 2021. Then, the San Francisco Mint seems to have been a little more careful at least, or perhaps just lucky, as only 2 coins are known. This example is graded as MS66 as the finer of the 2, and in 2021 it was sold for $408,000. Now, and I'm sure you must have seen this coming, but the most valuable coin, variety, era, or otherwise, from the 1940s is without any doubt the 1943 copper pennies. These are otherwise normal cent coins, only they were accidentally struck on the older bronze planchets left over from the previous year, as, of course, all 1943 pennies were supposed to be struck from the zinc-coated steel planchets, only used during that 1 year. They are exceedingly rare, and only a small handful of coins are known to exist, although all 3 mints are guilty of this particular sin. The Philadelphia Mint example was sold in 2021, graded by PCGS as MS62 Brown for the sum of $372,000. And then, during 2020, a San Francisco Mint example that was graded by NGC as MS63 Brown and was sold at auction for the amount of $504,000. But the record belongs to the Denver Mint example, which also happens to be the only known example of this coin to exist in a copper striking. This was graded by PCGS as MS64 Brown and was able to raise $840,000 at auction in 2021. Subscribe to WNN and feel free to watch another video about the top 10 varieties from the 1950s right here next. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.